Let's look at news. An American Airlines jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members has collided with an Army helicopter while landing at Ronald Reagan National Airport near Washington, prompting a large search and rescue operation in the nearby Potomac River. There were multiple fatalities, according to a person familiar with the matter, but the precise number of victims was unclear. There was no immediate word on the cause of the collision late Wednesday. All takeoffs and landings from the airport were halted as helicopters from law enforcement agencies across the region flew over the scene in search of survivors. Inflatable rescue boats were launched into the Potomac, just north of the airport. District of Columbia Mayor Muriel Bowser declined to say how many bodies had been recovered. Congressman Chris DeLuzio is putting emphasis on safety on railroads even after the settlement from the February 2023 East Palestine train derailment was made. DeLuzio has gotten support from Vice President J.D. Vance about endeavors to make regulations stricter on hazardous materials and to talk to first responders about these materials. Beaver County Radio's Curtis Walsh reports that the commissioners met for their work session on Wednesday. It was announced at the session that the Beaver County Recycling Center will have a change in schedule soon. The center will no longer be open on Mondays starting in March. The reason for the change is said to be due to staffing challenges. It was also said during the session that an EPA cleanup grant that was set to benefit the county is now on hold. Commissioner Jack Manning says a lot of work was put into securing funding to transform the site of the former Darlington Brickyard along the Little Beaver Creek on Cannleton Road. The project was going to turn the site into a public space to be used as a park, along with providing connectivity to the North Country Trail. On weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. through late August, single-lane alternating traffic restrictions will occur in Finlay and North Fayette townships. On Wednesday, work was beginning on Route 30, and according to PennDOT, the intersections of Cheery Lane and Interstate 576 will undergo a project from road crews. Drainage will be improved, slopes will be repaired along the road, and guardrails will be installed and removed at these locations. From 5 to 7 p.m. today, 4 McDonald's restaurants in the Steubenville, Ohio area will be donating 15% of their sales raised to support the family of Rosalie Martin. Martin passed away after she was shot in St. Clair Township last week. The McDonald's restaurants that will have donation jars for Martin's family will be in Steubenville, Toronto, Wellsville, and Wintersville. The fundraiser will assist in both funeral and other expenses for the Martin family. Americans continue to see improving fuel economy as the most significant change they want from vehicle manufacturers when they offer new products. Danielle Smith has the details.
A new Consumer Reports survey shows strong support in Pennsylvania and beyond for regulations that lower fuel costs and emissions. Chris Hardo with Consumer Reports says the survey reveals consumers don't trust automakers to actually deliver those fuel savings without regulations.
Only 27% of Americans said that automakers care about lowering fuel costs for their customers. On the other hand, almost two-thirds of Americans, 64%, agree that the U.S. government should continue to increase fuel economy standards.
President Donald Trump's recent executive order ended the EV mandate. Hardo says they are concerned that his administration may weaken standards, putting future consumer savings at risk. He adds if left in place, these standards could save drivers an additional $6,000 in fuel costs over the next 5 years.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy through mid-morning, then gradually clearing. We'll see a high near 48. A chance of rain tonight will drop down to a low around 38. Rain likely tomorrow throughout the day and evening. It's going to be breezy as well, with areas seeing wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. We'll reach a high near 52 and an overnight low around 28. And mostly sunny on Saturday. We'll see a high near 36 and a low around 26. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Are you ready? It's time to find out what is on the mind of Eddie Crow. It's something to crow about on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. Now, here's the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
We're going to talk about, for a little bit, something local and something uplifting, and welcome to the program. Brad's been here before, Brad Robison with Beaver County Flag Football. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Eddie.
How are you?
I'm great.
We got a lot of things. I was just peppering you with questions off the air. We got a lot of things we're going to talk about. But before we start, you had something that you wanted to do. Please.
Well, first off, I've been listening to you for a long time. And
really?
Dude, I told you before, when I was in high school at Blackhawk, I used to get weight room passes to go lift. And I listened to the morning show on DVE every single morning. You, Paulson, Kren. Mm-hmm. I mean, so we're very lucky, Beaver County, to have such a distinguished person. I'm telling you, you laugh, but you know, we are. So thank you.
I live my life like a bear with furniture, Brad, but I appreciate that. So I will tell you this. I've never been happier with what I get to do here than I have ever been anywhere else.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah. What I get left alone to do is more fun than any other time at any point.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome.
So,
well, you have a great staff here, you know, so everybody works together. It's just really nice. And the new studios are so much nicer.
Oh, yeah, you think? Yeah, it is nicer. The beauty of the staff here, and we're digressing, beauty of the staff here is everyone in the building is literally willing to tell other people, and then it's over and then it's gone.
That's nice.
No one shields anyone's feelings in this building, and it's consistent, and as long as it's consistent, it's absolutely
and nobody
brilliant.
holds a grudge, so...
Well, I'm not. I'm training the murder of crows outside to be my minions. That's a down the road thing, but that's very kind of you to say. I appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here as well. I just wanted to start by just asking everybody to say a prayer for the U.S. figure skating disaster that happened last night with the plane crash that collided with a Black Hawk helicopter. Not just our athletes, there were Russian athletes, the coaches, the flight attendants, the military personnel, the pilots, and all their families, because that's just a tragic thing. And we haven't had a disaster like this since the whole Marshall Thundering Herd crash in 1973, I believe. So... please, everybody, keep them in your prayers and your thoughts. People don't realize that when you're in the U.S. figure skating, when you're a young person, you have to leave your family and move somewhere else and live with like a host family. So those kids don't have the life that your child has, that when they devote their life to skating, they give up a lot. And I'm sure as a parent, it'd be hard to put your child in there and then have something like this happen. So, you know, I don't want to go too far into that, but please just keep all those people in your prayers.
It's an excellent way to start this, and you're absolutely right. If you're in, we're talking about Beaver County Flag Football, but if you're youth sports and you're elite, chances are very slim that you live at home past the age of 14.
Yep, and today it's getting more specialized and younger, and you know, parents are marrying their kid to one sport. And some have it and some don't. And the ones that have it, that's great. But the ones that don't, you kind of pigeonhole them, and then they need a new career path. So,
see, I remember we spoke before. Brad Robison is my guest with Beaver County Flag Football. And you had a lot of interesting thoughts about youth sports as an entity.
Yes.
Why have you devoted your life to Beaver County Flag Football? What's good about that isn't some of the other things that you could have done? Because you were an athlete too.
Yeah, I grew up in a household. My dad grew up as the oldest of 13 during the Great Depression.
13.
Yep. And
I thought I had something. My dad was one of 7, and my mom was one of 5 or 6. Yeah. 13.
Yep. And my grandfather was a coal miner. They owned a farm down in West Virginia, right on the PA border, and then they moved to down near Brownsville, a little town called Isabella, a coal mining town. My grandfather was a coal miner. And my dad, during the Great Depression, to help to feed the family, he had to quit school in 8th grade. But he had the mind of an engineer. But he was never into sports. So how I grew up from, as far as I can remember, being in love with sports. But, in my childhood, I was born in 73, so in my childhood, we had the Steelers and the Pirates.
You were born in the golden age of Pittsburgh sports.
Yes.
All right.
And then, I remember going to the Beaver County ice rink when Mario Lemieux was drafted, and they used to travel and play in community rinks for practice.
Fundraisers for the rink.
Right. And he came, and I have a picture with Mario, and my favorite player was Terry Riskowski, had no teeth. But
Brad, none of them had teeth.
Yeah.
Some made more money and could afford better plates.
So I didn't grow up in a household that was a sports household, right? None of my older siblings played sports. I'm a twin. We both did. And we didn't need to compete against others because we competed against each other. So,
did you guys have that mental telepathy where you could tell each other stuff without speaking like twins are supposed to have? Did you make up your own language?
We had, I wouldn't say a telepathy. We had a sense. Like one time, I don't know why, I sensed he was in trouble. Mm-hmm. We weren't together, we were probably 50 miles apart. But I just had a feeling, and I checked into it, and he was. But that's the only thing I can recall. What was crazy is in my graduating class, there was 7 sets of twins. We were in the Beaver County Times, we were on the news, so it was pretty cool.
What was in the water,
I know, that's what everybody says, but it was interesting. It was cool. And so there was, sets of boys, sets of girls, and then boy-girl, so it was pretty interesting.
Okay, at least, it spread the wealth a little bit.
Yeah. So I loved sports, but I didn't have that adult figure to guide me or anything. So
to encourage you to go try out for the team.
So I started working when I was 12 years old. That was instilled in me that you work. And
where were you working at 12 years old? We just had a congressman who said you kids need to go work at McDonald's. Where were you working at 12?
So my mother was the manager of the Revco drugstore in Beaver Falls.
All right.
And the trucks used to come in with all the supplies early in the morning, like 5 a.m. So I would get up.
Load and dock guy.
Yep, and go down and unload those trucks, and then she would drive me to school. And then my dad had a 2-acre garden. I mean, we always canned stuff, and at 5 years old, I had to get up and go work the garden, my brother and I, before we went to kindergarten or school. But when you get that work ethic instilled in you, it's like another degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I at the time, I resented it because my friends were able to do things that I didn't go to kids' birthday parties but
you were basically where I was growing up. You were a farm kid. You showed up at school after the work was done.
Yeah.
How much better a person are you because of that? Looking at it like as a grown up now.
For how good of a person I am, that's for other people to judge.
Okay.
But it's something that
how better functioning a person are you?
I think I learned to deal that, you have certain responsibilities and you have to prioritize those and you take care of them. And you learn that if you want something, you can cut corners and get it. But if you want it to sustain, you need to put in the hard work and do it the right way. So when I got in 7th grade, I was a huge sports fan, especially football. And I was a big Notre Dame fan. I don't know why at that point.
I'm not going to hold that against you.
And I was at the Sugar Bowl and at the terrorist attack, but we can talk about that later. So I worked and made my own money, and on the weekends I'd go there because there was no stock bowl and I'd stock the shelves. But so I saved all my money, and my parents wouldn't sign me up for sports. But in our family was the P.L. Peterson family, the handwriting. So I had impeccable handwriting. My mother pushed it on us.
Are we about to take our first step into forgery, Brad?
Yes.
Cool.
So
Cool.
I wanted to play football. I was too big to play because of the weight limits in youth football in Beaver County at the time. So middle school, I knew that the 7th and 8th grade at Blackhawk had a team, and I got the form from the office. I filled it out, signed my mother's name, paid cash.
Always pay cash. Man.
And she, I told her I had something to do with the school.
How do you tell your mom you got something to do every day? Because you practiced every day.
I don't know what made me think it was a good idea to do this, but
there we go.
But I told her that, that was preparation for school when I was doing something, I don't remember exactly what I told her, but she figured it out pretty quick.
Okay.
She came early one day and I'm walking off with all this football stuff on all sweaty and she's like, "What did you do?" But
was she more mad? Was she more mad that you were playing, or was she more mad that you forged her name?
Probably both.
Yeah. That wide breadth. Did she let you keep doing it? Sounds like it.
Yes. Yeah. Because, she did because she saw my passion for it. She didn't have to pay for it,
Number one.
And then my brother's like, "Well, I want to play," so she had to sign him up. And then the rest is history. But I was fortunate enough at that point, when I started playing on that team, to have two teachers at Blackhawk who were coaches that changed my life. And that was Dick Webster, the gym teacher, and the guy that ended up being my homeroom teacher, Dave Florentine. Just recently, he was helping with Blackhawks girls basketball team that won the states and stuff. He lives here in Brighton Township, an amazing man. We're still friends to this day. And he was a huge Notre Dame fan. So he took my fandom to a whole new level. In 7th grade, I can still recite the Notre Dame fight song. But I had him.
Please don't.
And then I got to high school. I played for Joe Hamilton, a legend.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to also befriend John Miller, the legendary coach. And still, we talk to this day. We're actually supposed to meet today and talk. So I was lucky to have, get into sports and then have the right people to inspire me and give me the confidence that, you can do this and don't listen to outside voices. And then I thought, you know what, I want to pay this forward. I want to do for kids what they did for me. So
that's Beaver County Flag Football.
Yeah, I started coaching when I was 17. I would coach the youth program at Blackhawk. So and what I wanted to do was take Joe Hamilton's offense and defense and all the terminology and incorporate it in the youth. So when they got to high school, they knew it. And that team went on and won 3 or 4 WPIAL championships in a row.
Feeder program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the first taste of it. And I thought, you know what? My dream, and I wish I had because of how much money they make now, but my dream was to be a college football coach. But I started there, and then I got into coaching youth at that point, and that was, I don't know how many years ago now, 34 or 5 years ago.
Oh, my.
And I've coached football, flag football, basketball, boys and girls, 1 game of soccer. Baseball, yeah, 1 game of soccer. And with Frank Sparks here, I coach softball.
All right.
And then I've helped with other things like boxing and things, just helped out. I didn't actually coach it, but I just love it. I love seeing, to me, when the light bulb goes off. So, when you get that kid and you're...
That's exactly what it is. And when it happens, you can see it.
Yes. And when you get that kid, it's like a piece of clay, right? Mm-hmm. And you get it and you see there's certain things that this kid has this or this kid has that. And then you help mold them. And when that light bulb goes off and they get it, it's worth every hour that you spend. And
before we go to news, I want to ask you this. Coaching 35 years, the song Kids, what's the matter with kids today? Are kids easier, or I shouldn't say, are kids more receptive to coaching now or less as we go forward in your 35 years? Are kids a bigger pain in the neck, or every year different, every kid different?
I would say that kids aren't the issue with youth sports.
Okay.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think we live in a society where me, and we all want our kids to be have better than what we had.
Right.
But
more successful.
There's a limit. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, parents marrying their kid into one sport and pushing them. My parents didn't do that. I found my way. But kids are, when we get into talking about flag and how we do it, I always tell parents and coaches, because we have a very strict code of conduct, that we don't allow coaches arguing with referees or saying things to other coaches or team, because then the parents start, and then the kids say, oh, that's okay, and they start. So kids are going to follow our example. So if we give them the right example and that right foundation to build that house on, then they're going to be coachable kids. So I think every kid is coachable. I just don't like when people get involved just to promote their own kid and not actually coach everybody else. And parents need to, if you're not helping, don't coach from the sideline. If you wanted to coach, get out there and coach, but don't coach from the sideline. If you knew that much, you'd be out there. So
I want to continue with this topic, and you were telling me off air, and I'm going to get to that after the news too. Brad Robinson with Beaver County Flag Football is my guest. You were you for a while, but you weren't you, and now you're you again as far as the organization, and it confused me, so we'll sort that out after news, okay? All right.
Beaver County Transit Authority connects you to where you want to be. The doctor's office or well-deserved shopping spree will take you to wherever you please. Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Hop on, adventures coming your way. Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
Midland residents, are you looking to travel to Calcutta using public transportation? BCTA Connect is live now. This service is free until March 1st, 2025. Rides can be booked using the convenient BCTA Connect app or by calling our customer service team at 724-375-2895. See how same-day, on-demand trips can help you by riding with BCTA Connect today. Visit our website at www.bcta.com/connect for more information.
Have you ever found something interesting that makes you go, oh? Then tune in every other Tuesday from 5 to 5:30 p.m. on Beaver County Radio for the Oh Show with Orlana Dawkins Drury. Orlana relates her views about informing, inspiring, and entertaining headlines that makes the world go round in interviews with local influencers that make you go, oh. The episode will be on Beaver County Radio Facebook and YouTube pages, so make sure to join the Oh Show with Orlana Dawkins Drury every other Tuesday from 5 to 5:30 right here on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP.
Are you looking for a different kind of morning talk show? One that's in a town hall setting with politics, sports, and much more. Just not in that particular order. Then join Frank Sparks weekday mornings at 6:30 for Driving in the Fast Lane on WBVP. Here we go.
Pittsburgh Penguins hockey is back on Beaver County Radio.
Goal, right to the front right there. Carter, he scores! Big goal for Big Jeff!
Tune in all season long as the revamped Pittsburgh Penguins are on a quest to win their 6th Stanley Cup. Penguins hockey on Beaver County Radio is brought to you by St. Barnabas Healthcare System, Falcone's Moon Township Board, Patriot Home Care, Forward RX, and Beaver County Radio.
It's time to wake up, Beaver Valley, with Pastor David Grove from the Church of the Redeemed of Beaver Valley. Tune in to Beaver County Radio this and every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. It's time to wake up and turn our hearts back to Jesus Christ. So wake up early this Saturday and tune in to Wake Up Beaver Valley from 9 until 10 a.m. right here on Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Thursday, January 30th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. An American Airlines jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members has collided with an Army helicopter while landing at Ronald Reagan National Airport near Washington, prompting a large search and rescue operation in the nearby Potomac River. There were multiple fatalities, according to a person familiar with the matter, but the precise number of victims was unclear. There was no immediate word on the cause of the collision late Wednesday. All takeoffs and landings from the airport were halted as helicopters from law enforcement agencies across the region flew over the scene in search of survivors. Inflatable rescue boats were launched into the Potomac, just north of the airport. District of Columbia Mayor Muriel Bowser declined to say how many bodies had been recovered. Congressman Chris DeLuzio is putting emphasis on safety on railroads even after the settlement from the February 2023 East Palestine train derailment was made. DeLuzio has gotten support from Vice President J.D. Vance about endeavors to make regulations stricter on hazardous materials and to talk to first responders about these materials. Beaver County Radio's Curtis Walsh reports that the commissioners met for their work session on Wednesday. It was announced at the session that the Beaver County Recycling Center will have a change in schedule soon. The center will no longer be open on Mondays starting in March. The reason for the change is said to be due to staffing challenges. It was also said during the session that an EPA cleanup grant that was set to benefit the county is now on hold. Commissioner Jack Manning says a lot of work was put into securing funding to transform the site of the former Darlington Brickyard along the Little Beaver Creek on Cannleton Road. The project was going to turn the site into a public space to be used as a park, along with providing connectivity to the North Country Trail. On weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. through late August, single-lane alternating traffic restrictions will occur in Finlay and North Fayette townships. On Wednesday, work was beginning on Route 30, and according to PennDOT, the intersections of Cheery Lane and Interstate 576 will undergo a project from road crews. Drainage will be improved, slopes will be repaired along the road, and guardrails will be installed and removed at these locations. From 5 to 7 p.m. today, 4 McDonald's restaurants in the Steubenville, Ohio area will be donating 15% of their sales raised to support the family of Rosalie Martin. Martin passed away after she was shot in St. Clair Township last week. The McDonald's restaurants that will have donation jars for Martin's family will be in Steubenville, Toronto, Wellsville, and Wintersville. The fundraiser will assist in both funeral and other expenses for the Martin family. Americans continue to see improving fuel economy as the most significant change they want from vehicle manufacturers when they offer new products. Danielle Smith has the details.
A new Consumer Reports survey shows strong support in Pennsylvania and beyond for regulations that lower fuel costs and emissions. Chris Hardo with Consumer Reports says the survey reveals consumers don't trust automakers to actually deliver those fuel savings without regulations.
Only 27% of Americans said that automakers care about lowering fuel costs for their customers. On the other hand, almost two-thirds of Americans, 64%, agree that the U.S. government should continue to increase fuel economy standards.
President Donald Trump's recent executive order ended the EV mandate. Hardo says they are concerned that his administration may weaken standards, putting future consumer savings at risk. He adds if left in place, these standards could save drivers an additional $6,000 in fuel costs over the next 5 years.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy through mid-morning, then gradually clearing. We'll see a high near 48. A chance of rain tonight will drop down to a low around 38. Rain likely tomorrow throughout the day and evening. It's going to be breezy as well, with areas seeing wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. We'll reach a high near 52 and an overnight low around 28. And mostly sunny on Saturday. We'll see a high near 36 and a low around 26. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
You are listening to Something to Crow About with Eddie Crow. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888.
It is something to crow about. I'm just asking questions because I find it fascinating. Brad Robison, Beaver County Flag Football, is my guest, and we're talking about flag football. We're talking about a lot of stuff, and it's good to see you again. And walk me through, and I'm going to get confused like I just did again. You were you, but you're not you. This, to me, in some ways paints a picture of what youth sports should and shouldn't be. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
I was you, but I was me, but I'm not me.
Somebody using your name?
Yeah, we had that little situation this year, and I don't want to touch
using your name as saying they were representing the Beaver County Flag Football League, but they really weren't.
Yes. So if you see anything that has our name on it, and it isn't on our Facebook page or our website, it's not us. And I'm not going to waste any of my breath on these people because they...
Can I ask what the point of doing that would be? Trying to get your own league going or something?
Yeah, and instead of doing it organically like we did and put in the work, it's just easier to try to poach.
How many years
have you
been? Has Beaver County Flag Football been in existence?
Well, this is our 10th year anniversary, so this is year 10. Yep.
And you've been a part of it the whole time?
Yep. Chad Hours and I were at Chippewa Indians together, and we saw that's now no longer because of dropping people playing football.
Right.
But we saw the numbers going down, and that was 2015 when I talked to him about it. But I approached the BCYFL, the Beaver County Youth Football League, in 2006, and I said, I just think that we shouldn't have kids hitting their head. I didn't know anything about impact testing, but I seen enough kids get hurt, and I said, I would like for us to play flag football until they get to where like 10 years old or something. And then when I was at Chippewa...
To where their necks can actually hold the weight of the helmet?
Yes.
The bobblehead stops?
Yeah, and when I was at Chippewa, Chad and Colby Hamilton did a great thing. They impact tested every youth kid and cheerleader before the season started.
Tell people what impact testing is.
So impact test is a test that you take on a computer to it tests your cognitive function and your brain activity, right, and how you process, and then it measures that, based on a scale or, and so now all high schools are doing it. We were the first to do it for youth in the country.
Wow.
But I was like, this is a great idea. Well, then I learned a lot. Dr. Kilpatrick he left, his wife got a job in North Carolina and he had to leave. But he was the Beaver County concussion specialist.
Okay.
So I got to work very closely with him and get to know him. Great guy, big soccer fan.
Don't get me started on soccer.
And I learned a lot about concussions that I didn't know. One thing I learned is I was in a car wreck and had one. I went to him, and then I realized I never had one at football because that was horrible. But we learned that you can't test a kid until they're between 10 and 12 because their brains aren't developed enough to measure
the test to get the baseline.
So I said to Chad, I'm like, our numbers are going down. I've had this idea. Why don't we do this? And he was like, I'm all for it to get kids to play the game. So, I said, if we can't impact test a kid to tell when their brain is healthy, how are we going to know when they're hurt?
Right. And a kid will lie.
Right.
I did it.
Or they don't even know.
Right.
Trust me, when I had mine, I had no idea what was going on most of the time. But it's common sense. Why put your kid at risk if you don't know when they're healthy, you don't know when they're sick, right? Or they're injured. So we started it, and the first year I think we had 120 kids, and then it just blew up from there. And then what was cool was people saw what I was doing on Facebook, and Dr. Pasquale, his son Jerome, him and a guy that played at Aliquippa live in Louisville, and he's like, "What are you doing to get all these kids?" And I told him, and he's like, "Would you be willing to tell me and help us because we're losing kids like crazy?" I said, "It's not just you and us, it's across the country."
And they explained the kids aren't signing up anymore because of the parents' safety concerns, right?
Well, I think what happened is, in our society, attorneys go after the deepest pockets, right?
Sure.
And nobody has more money than the National Football League.
Yep.
Unless you get over in the Premier League, those guys have insane money.
Or Middle East oil money or Russian
they
gas
own
money.
Most of the teams.
That's
now,
exactly right. Gazprom.
Yeah. So, I've lost my track.
It's that concussion, man.
Yeah.
Talking about NFL and lawyers and why kids stop.
So what happened is, that got all the press, and then the movie Concussion came out that was here in Pittsburgh. So that even had a deeper impact here because it hit home, And we all remember, Justin Strelzik, on his motorcycle. We remember Mike Webster and what happened to him, and a lot of those guys. And there were a lot of things that we learned from those teams of the 70s not to do, So it got all the press. But another thing I learned with Dr. Kilpatrick is he had a map of Beaver County, probably as big as that board over there. And he had little pins that were sports balls on the end, like football, basketball.
Okay.
And he had a pin for every town, for every kid he saw. And the number of pins that outnumbered everybody was soccer. And I'm like, how is that? You're not hitting your head. He goes, the key is you're not wearing a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
He said the number one sports for concussions is soccer. He goes, they're outlawing heading the ball, but you can run into a player, you can hit your head on the post, hit your head on the ground, you can get kicked in the head. He's like, so people don't think about that. Basketball was up there too, and I was like, wow, this is pretty insane. But again, football was getting all the press, and parents were like, well, I want to protect my kid, which you should.
Right.
And they started putting their kids in other sports. Or just not having to play sports and let them sit in front of the computer or phone all day. So,
you referenced concussions and you referenced the lawyers. How much more difficult is it for a youth sport organization to exist than it was 30 years ago? Have you been going uphill with the logistics of just functioning as an entity?
Eddie, I get asked that, and I compare that to college football today. Nick Saban retired for a reason.
Yes, he did.
You're not just coaching football anymore. You're managing a business. You're having to re-recruit your own players every year, new players every year. You're dealing with NIL, and it's big business, And that's why you see the greats are like, hey, I didn't sign up for all this.
No, I want to mold men. I don't want to be a CEO of a major corporation.
Right.
Which they all are.
It's just like that. We have to, if you have a youth organization, you have to be willing to evolve, right? And you have to be willing to accept change and learn how to navigate that. Just like this whole thing in college football. So Chad and I have done that. We love what we do. I've had more fun coaching flag and watching flag than I've had in all my 35 years. And that includes winning championships and everything.
Why? Why do you think?
I think it's because flag levels the playing field. There's no physicality. So it don't matter how big you are. You know what I mean?
There's no getting your brains kicked in 7th grade by the dude that's been held back 4 years.
Right. There's no blocking.
That's a personal moment.
Yes. Yeah. So you don't have that. You have kids of all skill level, and since that levels the playing field, actually the smaller kids are harder because it's hard to get down there while they're running. You're running to pull a flag and it's moving. But then we see kids who may not ever hit a three-pointer or hit a home run or score a goal in soccer. And when they score in flag football, because everybody gets to touch the ball, there's no ineligible receivers in flag football. So if you're on the line and you snap the ball, you're an eligible receiver after you snap the ball. So when you see a kid have that moment,
right?
And we aren't the no fun league, the NFL. We want kids to celebrate. So we don't want them to do it in a disrespectful way.
Has anybody, I was going to say, Brad Robison is my guest, Beaver County Flag Football. Has any kid ever scored and just done the most disgusting vulgar dance?
No.
Okay.
No, but I've seen them do some crazy stuff. No, but man, they lose their mind. It's like you'd think they won the Super Bowl, but we're not sending them to Disney World. But it's awesome. You see that, like when we talked about the light bulb going on.
Right.
That is equivalent to that, but you see that like, man, I did it. And then what's amazing is then watching that kid the next week and seeing how much different he plays or she plays because of the confidence they got just from scoring one touchdown.
Right.
And that is why we do it. All the nonsense that you put up with, during the year and weather and crazy things that happen that can affect the schedule, none of that matters anymore when you see that one kid.
That one kid, that to him or her?
Him or her, yeah.
That is the Super Bowl. That
is.
Very possibly is the first time noticeable or athletic achievement has ever occurred in that kid's life. And all you need is one, that confidence builds.
Yep, and then you see them go on and play other sports because we promote that. I don't want a kid just playing flag football or football, or I want you to be in the band. I want you to play basketball, football, golf, whatever. Stay busy, stay active, and don't marry yourself to one sport, because as you get older and your body changes, you may not have the physicality or the skill to keep competing, but if you do other sports, you can find your path in something else.
What did you learn playing sports that you apply every day? One thing that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, but you learned and every day you use.
No matter the situation, you don't quit. You're going to face adversity in life. You're going to face adversity in sports. You're going to lose games you should win. You're going to win games you should lose. And I think some of the biggest lessons I've learned in sports was from the games we lost, not the games we won. And if you talk to a lot of successful people, I'm a big history nut, so I watched The Men Who Built America, that series that was on History Channel. And if you listen to them, all those successful people like Mark Cuban and that they interviewed, when they were asked what was the pivotal moment in your life that changed your trajectory, it's never something they succeeded at. It's their failures and what they did to overcome them. And that failure changed their path and changed their life. And in sports, it's the same thing. We need to face adversity because, listen, life isn't rainbows and butterflies, all right?
In spite of what the Clarks may sing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're going to face adversity. You're going to face illness. I have multiple sclerosis, and you're going to face, people in your family dying. You're going to lose jobs, and you're going to have children. So you have to be able to say, all right, the situation's changed, but I still have to keep going, and the biggest thing for me with kids today is they need socialization.
Is it worse after COVID?
Yeah, I don't think.
It can't be better.
Yeah, we're not back to where we were, and I don't think we ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
But kids were already spending a lot of time in front of not so much the TV, but YouTube and on their phone and playing games on their gaming system or their computer. So they don't learn how to, when we were kids, you went out and you had your group of kids in your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
You went out and played baseball, and Jimmy threw a pitch and hit you, and you got mad, and you might have had a fight. But guess what? By that afternoon, you had to make up with Jimmy because there was nobody else.
Because there was nobody else to pitch. His name was David. The exact same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember a kid that threw a pitch and hit my twin, and my twin charged him and got into a fight. And I'm like, but later that afternoon, we were back playing baseball.
I got to ask you, Brad, when he hit your twin, did you feel it?
No. And I actually was like, man, I wish I did it. No.
Yeah, that's the beauty of siblings. You love them and you hate them. And it's Brad Robison, Beaver County Flag Football is my guest after 11 o'clock. Best of Beaver County with Mike Romine. You have an announcement, but you will tell me you've got an announcement for an announcement, but you won't tell me what it is.
Yeah, there's we're working on a couple things and collaborating with people. Mm-hmm. One of the things I can tell you is that we are working with a guy that I coach with that does personal training for kids, and you can't beat the results and you can't beat his pricing. Craig L. Kimbrough from Hopewell that I played against in high school. We were rivals, and we've become friends over the years, very good friends. And so that Hopewell group that now are freshmen at Hopewell started my league at 4 years old. These kids worked hard. They practiced. Every day they started going to Cradell at 5 years old.
Wow.
At like in the morning before school.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
All year long, no matter what sport they were. If they didn't have a sport, they went.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 5 or 7 freshmen start this year, including the quarterback, James Boo Boo Armstrong, who's amazing. He got offered a scholarship by Pitt already.
Yeah.
And
that's
amazing.
If you're the head coach, you're looking around going, what class is good? Okay, those guys, we got to get surviving until that class starts coming in.
Yeah, and they're go watch them. They're fun.
And to get them playing as freshmen, that says a ton.
Yes. So we're partnering with Cradell and other people so that we can. There's a lot of choices out there for parents if you want to do training or stuff, and there's a lot of people doing stuff that they're doing to make money, and that's their primary goal instead of training the athlete.
It's a gig.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not only are they overcharging, but you're not getting the best value for your money. So with like Cradell, we'll do that. But there are a couple things that are coming that I can't talk about yet because everything's not signed. But they're going to be really exciting for Beaver County. It's going to be outside the realm of flag football.
Really?
But you're going to love it. I can't wait to tell you. I'm
you
so
are,
itching
for people,
to tell you, and I wish I could.
People were watching on Facebook. It's like, he looks like he's about to bust.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. This stuff, I drive my wife nuts. My wife's a physician at the Cleveland Clinic, and she was a Division I track athlete, but she just sees my passion for kids and sports. And sports gave me something when I was young. And like I told you, I have MS, and MS takes a lot away from you. And this is the one thing that I won't let it take. So it drives me today just like sports drove me when I was young. So this announcement is going to be for kids of Beaver County. It's going to be big. It's going to be amazing. It's starting something new again, in addition to what we do. But, I pay attention to everybody. One of the greatest lessons I learned, it was an article in the Beaver County Times years ago about Frank Papa that owned the hot dog shops.
Yeah.
And he's ultra successful.
Yes.
Not only his hot dog shops, but real estate, everything. Frank's amazing. Mm-hmm. And they sat down and they said, you have basically an empire. How did you build an empire with hot dogs? And he said, it's about consistency. He's like, when people move away or they come back, they want to taste that same hot dog every single time. You can't change it. You can't change your fries.
100%.
He's like, but, if you do something, pick something and do it well. And then if you want to do something else, but focus on doing what you do well and providing a good product. And people will come and they'll stay. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to expand and do other things, you've done it once and you just take the same formula and you apply it to the next thing. But, I love to listen to people like that and pick up and learn things. So I think that what we're going to do is going to be successful as well. But we are successful not because of me or Chad or, anybody like that administers our league. We're successful because of our people in our league. And that's our coaches, our parents, and our kids. We have an exceptional group of parents. And every once in a while you get one that's a little out of line, but then when
semi-jag off.
Yeah, when they find out that, listen, it's this way or the highway.
Right.
And so make a choice. Either do it this way or, thanks, but no thanks.
And that's part of what draws people to the league.
Yeah, so I know that with what we're going to do outside of flag football, it's going to be successful because we're going to do it the right way, and parents are going to see that. Another one of you said why I do this. Mm-hmm. And in all my years, I had parents come up and thank me for coaching their kid and stuff. But one of the greatest compliments you can get is when a parent comes up and says, my kid loves playing flag football, and we love your league because it's not like anything else. You know, there's no nonsense, and the kids you keep them active, and it's so organized. I call it organized confusion, but
sure.
And it looks like if you come out on a Saturday in the spring, you'll be blown away because it looks like ants on an anthill. You know, we're funneling, 600 to 800 kids through there in a day, and you imagine mom, dad, little siblings, aunts, uncles, grandparents, thousands of people are out there every weekend. And that's pretty cool to see. But when a parent comes up and tells you that, or tells you that my son drives me nuts on Friday night about his game on Saturday morning, or he gets up and is like, come on, Mom, we got to get going.
Got to go. Don't be late, Mom.
Yeah, so that's another thing. You know, it's one thing to see it in kids. It's another thing to just see parents really appreciate what you're doing and how you do it. So
engaged.
Yes.
Is the word. Do me a favor. When you can make the official announcement, you come back and make the official announcement.
I promise you that announcement will be made on air on Beaver County Radio first.
Sweet. Oh, sweet. All right. Well, and tell people how they can look up Beaver County Flag Football on social media. Yeah,
so you can go, our Facebook page is Beaver County Flag Football, and our website is www.beavercountyflagfootball.org, not .com. So that's all one word. You can register there, and we're going to be doing some new things this year. With it being the 10th year, so I'm going to try to do a highlight video every week. We'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Yeah. And I want to do interviews with some parents and kids just to get their feedback so that other parents could say, these kids love it or the parents love it. And then there's one thing that I've wanted to do that I think we're going to do this year. Our championships, you can't use the word Super Bowl, SUPER, because it's patented. So we're going to have a Super Bowl, but it's going to be spelled SOUPER.
Oh.
And we're going to ask parents that when they come to playoffs and championships to donate cans of soup or dry soup.
Okay.
The number one need of every school district in Beaver County when I talk to superintendents is they have kids in every school district. No one's not affected by this. That they come to school and eat breakfast, they eat lunch, and they don't eat till they come back the next day.
And that's it.
And that's tragic in a country with so much wealth that we have kids that don't eat.
All right, so, Brad, you're going to come back and make the. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. I love coming in. I'll come in every day if you want. We can talk about other things.
All right, come in tomorrow. The show starts at 9.
Okay, I'll be here.
You know
when
how
I
it
show
works?
up, you'll be like, uh-oh.
No, dude. I'm not. You show up. I'm not showing up.
Oh.
You're taking come in tomorrow. It's talking out loud for 3 hours. That's all it is.
Nah.
Brad Robison.
You're a legend, man. I can't replace
Beaver County Flag Football. I'm a ne'er-do-well at best.